Ayo, Catboy here. Welcome back to another Explaining Geometry Dash video. Today, I'll show you how to use the count trigger in Geometry Dash. I'm talking about this trigger right here, the pink one. First of all, what is its function? What does it do in this game?
Well, you gotta know that the count trigger toggles on or off an object if you collect a pickup item a specific number of times. And by pickup item, I mean these objects right here. The heart, the poison, the skull, the mini coin, and the key. Now, for the count trigger to work, we need a count trigger, a counter, a pickup item, let's say a key, and a target item, let's say a coin. Now, all these items I mentioned, the counter, the pickup item, and the coin, are necessary for the count trigger to work. Now, everything at the base of a count trigger is in this button right here, in the Edit Object button. And here we see some thingies. We'll talk about everyone one by one. Let's start with the item ID. The item ID is an ID that is the same for the counter and the pickup item. Now keep in mind, the item ID is a totally different thing when comparing it to the group ID. It's a totally different thing. Now, how we set an item ID to these two items? Well, let's start with the counter. We have to click on this green button, Edit Special. And here we simply set the ID, let's say 1. And the same thing we do with the pickup item. But first, we have to choose one of these ones, pickup item or toggle trigger. In our case, we select pickup item. Now, we select 1. This subtract count is if you want your counter to decrease the number, not to increase it. We'll talk about it later. For now, we don't need it. So, after we set the item ID for the counter and the pickup item, we go to the count trigger and set it 1 to item ID. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the target count. The target count is the number of times the count trigger counts as collected the pickup item. This target count number must coincide with the number of pickup items you have to collect. For example, let's set here the number 3. So now we have to collect 3 pickup items. So what we do is we have to copy and paste this key 3 times so that we have to collect 3 keys. Now that we have these keys, we must go to the final option of the count trigger, the target ID. Basically, what you introduce here is the group number of the object you want to toggle on or off. Now first, we must add the coin to a group, 1. And now, put the count trigger, the number 1. Now, for this specific count to work, we must add another trigger, and that is the toggle trigger. Now, why do we add this toggle trigger? Is because after the trigger counts the number of times we pick the key, the coin must appear in the level. So, before the trigger starts to count, the coin must be toggled off. That's why we put a toggle trigger before the count trigger. So, in this moment, the coin is toggled. It's not touchable. Now, the last thing we have to do is to set the count trigger to activate the group it toggles. So now, after the trigger stops counting, the coin should be now visible and touchable and usable. Now, see, after I collected all the 3 keys, the coin appeared. But keep in mind, if you collect only 1 key or 2 keys, the coin will not appear. You must collect all 3 keys in order for this coin to appear. Again, you can change the number of pickup items you must collect. You can put it at 2 or at 5 or at 10. It doesn't mind. Now, let me show you how a count trigger works if it toggles off an object, not on. So, for this to happen, we must remove the toggle trigger and replace this coin with another object, because of course we don't want the coin to be toggled off after the count. So that's why I take the classic example of the Sakupan wall. Now, what we have to do is we have to add the Sakupan wall to a group 1 and go to the count trigger and deselect this option, activate group. And now this will happen. See, when I collected all the 3 keys, the Sakupan wall disappeared. Now, let me show you what it shows us when we play the level, but not in the editor. See, the counter counts the number of keys you collected, and after you collected the last key, it toggles off the Sakupan wall. Now, let me show you that option of subtract count that we saw at the pickup items. So, you can also set at the pickup items, you can also set this option, subtract count. So, this means that the count trigger shows you how many pickup items you have left to collect. And for this count to work, we must activate the subtract count option of the pickup item and then go to the count trigger and set the target count to -3. So it will display like this. And now the Sakupan wall is disappeared. I personally don't know why the counter goes like -1, -2, -3. It was supposed to go like 3, 2, 1, and 0. But I think you understand what it's about. And basically this is how you use the count trigger. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you found this useful, consider leaving a like. Also, if you have any questions about this count trigger, let me know in the comment section and I'll answer it to you as fast as possible. That is all for today. Goodbye.